quite a bit? Like whatever they show at the beginning, it can be different by 2, 3, 4 shifts in. Like how difficult can that make it to coach against that?
Well, it depends. And I'll say this, I'm not a huge line match guy, so for me it's not going to change a lot of what we're going to do. There are exceptions to every rule. They have a couple of players that are exceptions to the rule. So you're keeping an eye on that. No disrespect to the rest of the group, but those guys are MVPs of the league, right? So you have to be mindful when they're coming over the boards to try to sort of get the matchup you'd prefer. Not always going to happen. So that's how I'd look at it. If it's, you know, if the fourth line left winger drops or moves up, and you know what I mean? Like in some of those things, again, I don't think you can mess with your chemistry over. You got to pick your spots to do that because your players get affected, right? They know, and sometimes it's, well, he doesn't trust me to do this, and I think in the playoffs, so you should have the players trust that you're doing it for a reason. But in season, a lot of times you're explaining those things because of that. So I've just felt I don't like to lose the rhythm of our team as much as anything. Like I said, Edmonton presents different challenges because of those two players when they're together and when they're apart.
Does the same go for the blue line and way you would match or not match?
A little bit. We went into the series. We moved Hanny and Hager with Petro in and out, different reasons. Comfortable with both. Both had a different, like Hanny and Hager are different players, right? So they had a different element for Petro. But we'll do it from time to time, and you'll probably see that this series at times.
You mentioned the different challenges. What are the different challenges when McDavid and Draisaitl are together versus when they have them separated?
Well, you've got two guys that play a terrific two-man game, so full alert. But that probably means they're going to the bench together. So it's time to make hay against the rest of the lines if you feel you have the depth advantage, right? And I think was a bit of the story 2 years ago, if I remember correctly. Of course, I might not be, but I think when they're on the ice together, you know, it's fun to watch if you're a fan. And you got to make sure that you have your ducks in a row how you want to defend, right? And that's the biggest challenge because one little slip up and away they go. So I don't know if they'll be together. They look like they're playing together. Is that because the rest of their lines are better balanced now and they trust that they can keep things level and even gain an advantage? I don't know. We'll see because they've got some new players in their lineup. So I'm only going by what I saw at the LA series, and they may decide to match up differently against us, right? From series to series, you never know. So that's kind of I guess the word fun part of the year as a coach. I enjoy that part of it, you know, the kind of the back and forth where you got to make your adjustments, what's going to happen next, try to think ahead without upsetting your guys, etc. So, but anyway, that's how I see it with them, and we'll see how it plays out. I'm sure you'll see both, quite honest with you.
Felt like the 23 series was the step that Jack took to be the 200-foot player against Connor. Did you feel it that way at the same time?
Yep, I do. I think anytime you're playing against those two guys, you're on the spotlight of how you defend. It's just the way it is. It's like playing against McKinnon and McCarr, right? When those guys are drivers, and you know, it's a forward and a D, but still, same sort of challenges. And if you can get it done, you're going to get you should get a pat in the back because it's not easy. And you got to be willing to do it. You got to have the ability to do it. Like one thing Jack, I think, showed the world, he can skate, and he's strong enough to check against those elite players. We use Carlson a lot too. That helps. It's not one guy the whole time. So that'll be what we'll look to do again. We have two great defensive center amongst other players, but two guys that really do it well. And I thought they did that series for the most part. I mean, if you look back, didn't Draisaitl have 4 goals the first game? So I'm not going to sit here and say we did a great job, but as the series got better, we did a better and better job, I guess is how I look at it.
He had 6 in the first 2 games, by the way.
6?
Yeah, and then he had
Is that all?
None after that. And
but they lost the first game.
Yeah.
So you could have 10 if you lose, right? I guess I'm looking at the glass was half full. We found a way to win even though we got 4 goals. That's probably a night of not getting any sleep as a coach, but you're still trying to enjoy the moment. But man, this guy just got 4 goals. We got to do a better job. But anyway, I digress.
But that's kind of what I wanted to ask you, because when you were answering before, you were like, if I remember right, and I'm curious what your institutional knowledge is and how much that plays into it, right? Like almost like a book, right, that a catcher or a hitter has on a pitcher. Do you have a book, and can you call on it when you go into a series like this?
Well, I'm going to use that series. Whatever worked for us to our advantage. I think we'll start delving into it more as it goes along. I think you can't overreact to game one. I don't know. Their lines could be completely different. They finished with Pickard. Is it Skinner? There's so many. They could change pairs because they like a certain matchup. So, give the guys something to work off of, and let's go to work. I always believe after game one, okay, now I've seen a little more of it's real. Let's go. And then I think we'll look back on some of that more. But yes, I'm thinking back to different ways that we tried to control their top guys. We had a tough time with their power play early. As it went along, we took some things away, I thought, that helped us kill better. So yes, and we'll look at that. Now, they've changed a bit of that, where their structure, their PP, yet there's still a lot of the same guys on it. So I'd be curious to see how that goes. They obviously scored against LA and did a good job, and LA kills completely different us. So we can't take that template, even if it went well. They're very aggressive. We're a little more zone-oriented type of thing. So, but those are a couple examples. But yes, we'll go back and look at it. We might even pull up video on it as coaches. It might get to that. But it kind of depends how we're doing, right? You don't want to go back and mess with a good thing either. And we've got some people that have changed in our lineup too there. But we do have a lot of the same decor and the same goalies. So some of that defensive zone coverage, my guess, will be revisited.
You get to see a couple games of Eichelstone and Carlson together, and so I'm assuming the concern there is always how the depth is going to deal with that and how much you're robbing from the rest of it. How do you think that went, and how did the depth do?
Well, I thought we did fine, and some of that is that Howie can play center, and he's a 20-goal scorer in the middle of the ice. So there's a pretty good replacement part there. So I thought I thought what did happen is our top guys outplayed their top guys, at least on the score sheet. Like I said, always the analytics and all that, but at the end of the day, they found the score sheet in the second half of the series, their top guys more in the first half. So that's the way it played out. So the rest of it, I thought the Hartman-Foligno pair did a good job against us. They were hard. They went to the net. I don't know that's necessary. That's just a product of them playing to their strengths. I don't know if a forward line can necessarily cancel that. That's when your D have to be heavy in front, et cetera, and you're clearing rebounds. So, but the rest of our depth, I don't know. I'd have to revisit it. Ken, I'm kind of moved on from Minnesota, to be honest. We're trying to focus on Edmonton. I'm always pleased with our depth. I think that's why we're a first-place team. We don't rely on. We need our best players to play well. Don't get me wrong, but we're comfortable using different people in important spots, and feel they'll respond.
Bruce, on every team, there's guys that keep the culture, right? When you were in Boston, it was Bergeron and Char. They explained what the Bruins were about, and they brought the new people in. Is William Karlsson one of those people because he's been here from the very beginning?
Quieter version, but yes, he's a low maintenance, plays the right way, type of guy. So yes, I believe, he's a torch carrier for us, and I think I'd put McNabb in that category. Theo in his own way, and I think now Stoney's been Pet. They've been here a while, right? Yeah. So they're certainly doing it because they were captains elsewhere. But yes, the original guys, I feel they should get the credit they deserve when it comes to that.
How pleased have you been with Karlsson's consistency throughout the course of the season, and even this past week having to change positions, still raising up to that level?
Yeah, well, he's had unfortunately some injuries this year, so he was in and out, and now we're pushing him to the wing. So, but as I just said, no maintenance, right? He's going to do what's best for the team, and he gets to play with Jack and Stoney, so it's kind of a nice, it's a nice perk. Those are guys with the puck a lot; they make plays. So, if that's where he lands, he won't. He's just going to play. That's who he is. And if he ends up back in the middle checking McDavid for 7 straight games or whatever it is, that's what he's going to do. So that's the great part as a coach, having a no-maintenance guys like that are team first and are just going to do it, whatever makes the team win. So happy to have him healthy. I think last year was fair to say he was not healthy in the playoffs. This year he's healthy, and we're going to need him to be, especially in this series.
For a guy like Brandon Saad, who didn't jump off the score sheet, but from an eye test standpoint, it looked like he had a great series. How would you evaluate him and what he brings to your team?
I agree with you. I thought he a little unlucky around the net. I thought he created lots of opportunities for himself. He's good at that. He's got deceptive speed. He gets through the middle of the ice as well as anybody I've seen in terms with the puck out of a pile where you're kind of expecting nothing to happen. So a couple of really good looks in Game 6. He was in alone on his off wing, one shorthanded. So I like his game. He's a veteran guy again that no maintenance. He knows what it takes. He's been there, one in Chicago. So a good piece to the puzzle for us. And he's done what we've asked and expected, to be quite honest. He's, again, consistent, reliable player for us. And I suspect he'll get going a little more offensively in terms of get in the back of the net if he continues to get those chances, because he's scored at this level, and it's just a matter of time.